palabras. Y no tengo palabras para decir, porque no sé lo que estaba pensando. Él tenía sus razones para hacer lo que hizo. Y por favor, no lo juzgan. Yo nomás quiero a los niños inocentes que se murieron. Perdóname.
¿Qué les dices a los familiares de ellos?
Perdóname, hijo. Yo sé, él tenía sus razones.
¿Qué razones pudo haber tenido?
A que se acercaran más a sus niños en vez de poner atención a las otras cosas malas. Yo no tengo palabras, no sé. Era bien calladito, era bien callado, bien. He was to himself. Él no le molestaba a nadie, él no le hacía nada a nadie.
This man's special talents is that he is really good at escaping from prison. He escaped from 3 maximum security prisons in his life. This man's name is Richard McNair, and in 1987 he was attempting a robbery which went terribly wrong. Richard ended up killing somebody, and police arrested him and took him to the jailhouse. But they didn't search him, and Richard had some chapstick in his pockets, which he then used to wriggle out of his handcuffs and escape. But his first escape would last only a few hours, as he was caught almost immediately afterwards. And then he was sent to actual prison with a life sentence charge. The prison he was sent to was in North Dakota, and 5 years later, in 1992, Richard McNair escaped prison again, this time through a ventilation duct. Immediately after his escape, he would be put onto the U.S. Marshals Top 15 Most Wanted list. And this time, he would go on to be free for 10 months, but he supported himself during this time by stealing cars. But he couldn't evade police forever, and they did catch him. This time, he was sent to a much stricter institution in the Louisiana State Penitentiary, and he would go on to remain here for 14 years. But in 2006, Richard McNair had a job working at the prison sewing facility. And because he was familiar with all the ins and outs of the prison he was staying in, he was able to bury himself under this pile of mail bags and then mail himself out of that prison into freedom. It would be more than 5 hours before anybody realized that Richard McNair was missing. And Richard was trying to steal a car to drive away in. While he was doing that, he was stopped by an actual cop. And the cop asked Richard McNair if he'd seen a missing prisoner. He didn't know he was talking to him. Richard convinced the cop over the course of 10 minutes that he was just a resident in the area and out for a jog, and the cop believed him. Their full conversation is actually available on YouTube and has more than 38 million views. And shortly after Richard escaped into Canada, he was on the run for the next year and a half, where he would regularly travel between the US and Canadian border with everybody looking for him. His ability to escape police was second to none. But of course, everyone's luck eventually runs out, as did Richard McNair's in 2007, when he was arrested for the final time in Canada and then sent back to the US. And to ensure that he never escapes again, they sent him to the most secure prison they have in all of the US, ADX Florence in Colorado, where he will spend 23 hours of every single day in a cell just like this. And escaping is literally impossible. Also, Richard McNair has gotten a lot older, so I don't think he's going to be attempting to escape anytime soon. But hey, we've seen crazier things in this world.
This woman's kidnapping story was so bizarre, many, including police, thought it was a hoax. This is the case of Denise Huskins. In 2015 in Vallejo, California, Denise and Aaron Quinn began dating. They both worked as physical therapists and were a cute couple, according to friends. But they had been having some issues, as Denise found out that Aaron had been cheating with an ex. The two were having a hard time, but trying to work it out. On March 22nd at 3 a.m., the couple was upstairs sleeping at home when they woke up to find an intruder had broken in and was in their bedroom in a wetsuit. The intruder then tells Aaron to give him his computer and bank account information. He then forced the couple to put on swimming goggles that had been covered in duct tape and put headphones on. The intruder was also reportedly telling them how good they were doing throughout the entire ordeal. He gave them both a sedative, took Denise, and told Aaron he'd contact him via text with ransom demands. The next day, Aaron woke up from the sedative. The intruder told him not to call police, so Aaron fell back asleep, but later in the day made the call. Aaron tells police what happened, but to them, the story sounds far-fetched. Aaron's cheating and the couple's recent relationship issues made police suspicious of him. A massive manhunt ensued. 140 police and FBI searched all over for Denise. When suddenly, 48 hours later, Denise reappears, seemingly unharmed in Huntington Beach, California, 400 miles away from where she was taken. She said her captor had released her in her hometown on the street she grew up on. Denise told police a similar story to what Aaron had told them and said she was taken by a man to his home in Lake Tahoe where horrible things happened. Then said he just decided to release her, drove her all the way to Huntington Beach, dropped her off near her dad's home, and then drove away. Twists and turns, but police weren't buying any of it. The story was so elaborate it almost seemed like the plot of a thriller movie. Many began comparing Denise's story to the plot of Gone Girl. Boyfriend or husband is caught cheating, girl leaves, and then pins it on the spouse. Police said they felt they had wasted resources and declared the whole thing a hoax. Both Aaron and Denise hired attorneys. But a reporter at the San Francisco Chronicle started receiving anonymous messages from someone claiming responsibility for the crime. 2 months later, police got reports of another home invasion near San Francisco, another couple, and the stories were eerily similar. The intruder ran away but left his cell phone at the scene. They tracked that phone to this man. Matthew Mueller, a 38-year-old Harvard-trained attorney and ex-Marine. His property is searched, and what do they find in his possession? Aaron's stolen laptop. Go to part 2.
You know, I'm not saying that people can't look similar, but when you're this famous and there's people back in the day who looks exactly like you, it makes you wonder. Look, I know people seen this. It literally looks just like him. Great ancestor? That one's a stretch, right? How about your boy Johnny Depp? Oh, what are you doing over there, Justin? Is that your great-great-great-grandpa? Anybody know who that is? It's just crazy how similar these people look. It's also crazy how this guy had power back in his day, and he has power in this day, and they look exactly alike. And not too many people look like that. You're gonna call it Photoshop, right? This one trips me up. You know who that is? Because I know you know who that is. Got more for you. What do you guys think? That's the same freaking person. I bet you there's even more instances than what I could find. Too similar. So yeah, I agree. People can look similar to each other, but this stuff is just freaky.
I can't talk right now. I'm doing hot girl.
Fuck being good, I'm a bad bitch. I'm sick of motherfuckers trying to tell me how to live. Rap hoes hate under my pictures on the gram. Bitch, you better hope I never run across your man.
You better give me that money.
Whatever happened to the Dolan twins? Grayson and Ethan Dolan, aka the Dolan twins, are two of the biggest YouTube stars in the world. They built a channel with over 10 million subscribers and hundreds of millions of views. They actually blew up originally on Vine back in the early 2010s. And yet now they haven't posted a video since December of 2020. And oddly enough, they haven't posted to their Instagrams or anything else either. So the question is, what happened? Well, if you go back to 2018, they put out this video. The video was titled Bye For Now, and they just explained why they were going to be leaving YouTube. They were simply lacking creativity, and they no longer looked at YouTube as a hobby but as a job. But then they actually came back just a few months later and formed the Sister Squad with James Charles and Emma Chamberlain. It seemed like they were having fun, and it was a perfect way to blend the creativity into their job in YouTube. But Emma Chamberlain has made comments on this squad in her podcast, and it might not have been all that it seemed to be. But then in 2019, tragedy struck. Like and follow for part 2. Whatever happened to the Dolan twins? Part 2. Make sure to go watch part 1 first. So after forming the Sister Squad in 2018, it seemed like the Dolan twins were back for good. But then in 2019, tragedy struck the Dolan twins' family and they lost their father. After this, they took a short break, but they actually did continue to post to YouTube. Throughout 2020, they were actually uploading pretty consistently. But then in December of 2020, they would upload a video that is still the final video on their channel today. But then in 2021, they actually uploaded pretty consistently on their podcast channel. And in one of the episodes, they explained kind of what happened. They did say that they were probably moving on from YouTube for good. Basically, it was just because they got older and they want to do something a little bit more meaningful to them. They even said that their old vlogs are now a source of embarrassment for them. And although it is sad to see even more beloved YouTubers quit, it honestly makes sense why they would no longer want to make content on the platform. Who you are when you're 22 versus who you are when you're 15 are two completely different people. On top of that, losing a father and just going through the daily grind of life can change what your creative processes are. And who knows, maybe after some time we'll see a comeback for the Dolan twins. Guys, thank you so much for watching. As always, don't forget to like and follow.